Thanks for joining us. We are Alive at 5. We're ready to get your thoughts on the stories we have today. But first, remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook if you want to get in on the conversation. We post here every day of the week. Let's get started. I'm here with Aisha Howard and Jennifer Bellamy. And the story that got my attention today was a question a mom brought up. Should students have to walk to and from school alone, especially in bad weather? There's something called a 1 mile rule. If you live in real close proximity to a school, a lot of students don't have the option of riding the school bus. Take a look at some video that Amber, a mom in Bartow County, posted yesterday. It was pouring down rain, and she's noticing students having to walk home, a lot of them, because they live within a mile of the school. She's frustrated by it. She went on to start this conversation saying, how are students who show up soaking wet supposed to sit comfortably for the first 3 hours of the day and learn? How will they write on their papers that are drenched and participate in the same capacity as their peers? She wants a conversation about safe transportation for students, saying we should invest more in these public schools and get access for transportation for all students, no matter where they live.
We know public school funding is always an issue for teachers, for administrators, everyone. It's always trying to get more money. And so I think this is one way that they found that they could cut costs. But from this mom's perspective, all kids deserve that. And I really did see her point of view about arriving at school in just those uncomfortable situations. Being wet is one of the most uncomfortable things ever. And so I get it, but a lot of people are going to say, okay, great idea, but where is the money going to come from?
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, I noticed the kid walking with an instrument in his hand, and it's like, my goodness, what happens to these types of things? It's like one of those things you don't necessarily think about until you see it happening. But I think it's also part of safety too, you know, with students walking to and from school within a mile. I mean, if you're just next door, someone can stand on the porch and make sure you get there. But if you're walking that distance, I think safety is also a factor.
That's the first thing I thought of with my kids. Less about the weather, more about the safety. We have a lot of comments on this one. First, Terry Hogan says, rain, really? Cold, really? Umbrellas and coats. There are also after-school programs or walk home with a friend or two. I'm not minimizing the dangers that are out there, but our kids also need to learn some resolve and independence. But I'm also the parent who drives her middle schooler to the bus stop when it rains. Michael adds in, my kids live across the street from school. We don't let them walk alone, pointing to safety. And listen, a lot of families don't have the luxury of a parent who can just drop everything when it rains and have the flexibility and drive to school. They might be working, their work schedules don't allow it, a lot of single parents, so it's not always an option.
I'm going to say the walk to and from school was my favorite part of the day.
Really?
Hanging with your friends, yeah, just chatting it up, yeah. So I'm going to be the odd one here and say I enjoyed it. And, you know, you just be smart about how you go and watch out for cars and all that good stuff.
All right, let us know what you think. Keep those comments coming.
All right, so this is the article that I saw. It was from USA Today, and it was talking about the luxury lifestyles of college students.
Oh.
Who
Those
knew?
things don't really matter.
Right. No,
that
it
doesn't go together,
seem
right?
to, but some of the housing options that are available now for students are very high end. This article pointing to spin classes and pool top or whether rooftop pools. So who knew?
Where did they go to school?
Exactly. Who knew that these things were becoming an option? What do you think?
Well, I put myself through school, so if it was going to be more expensive, it wouldn't have been a possibility for me. I mean, I was just happy for my $40 JCPenney new bedspread.
Comforter set.
I think it just further makes a gap between those who have and those who have not, and that I'm not a huge fan of.
I will say I was the person who a young lady became my best friend, but she hated me at first because a week before moving, I drove to Michigan State every day. I was so excited. I just wanted to do cute stuff to start setting up my dorm. So she was working at the front desk, and she's like, is this girl going to come every day? Why can't she just wait for freshman move-in day? I got a loft built, and it gave us more space. So I got the beds lofted to give us, you know, the room. I had carpet put down, and I had some like streaming lights, all things that were pretty inexpensive, but just to make you as comfortable as possible being away from home for the first time. It wasn't expensive though. Nothing was like name brand. It was just cute within your own budget.
Yeah.
So I think about a pool top deck. So the universities have to invest in this. Does this bring up tuition for everybody?
Well, I think this is sometimes some of the options that are on the campus periphery as well.
Okay, yeah.
Some of these buildings that are geared more towards students only, you know, folks like us aren't living in there.
Right.
But they're doing all of these amenities to lure these students in. We do have one comment. I posted this on my Facebook page. This came from Ralph. He said, this is a long way from the 70s. Our dorm rooms were like prison cells, talking about little bunk beds and all. But I think, to your point, Cheryl, other people are saying, we've talked so much about student debt. And if you're putting your way through college yourself and you're feeling the pressure to live in one of these things.
For me, it was about keeping the cost down because I knew I was going to pay for it till I was in my 30s at least.
I'm all about swank on a budget. So if you can do it, but I didn't have any kind of rooftop situation.
I like that.
Yeah, not at all. All right, speaking of college and expenses and all that stuff, what about adulting? There's a high school in Texas, ladies, that is teaching children in high school how to adult. It's called Adulting 101. And it's giving them the life basics and the life skills that maybe you wouldn't have necessarily if, you know, you didn't take a class like this. A lot of people go into those first college years and they're like, what do I put on a George Foreman? Or they're just going to eat ramen the entire time because they don't know how to even, you know, microwave something or fend for themselves. What do you guys think? Could you have benefited from an Adulting 101 class?
Ramen's pretty good.
It is.
It is true. And it's a rite of passage to a certain extent.
To a college student,
I think this could be a requirement. I think it's so important to learn these things. You know, it used to be like balancing a checkbook. Now it's like keeping your debit card in order, or finances, I think, are a big one. These kind of things that, you know, hopefully you might have a parent teaching you this, but you don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
And this is real world stuff. Talk about, you always say, like, am I going to use this in the real world, algebra and all those things? This is something that students can use all the time, and there's fewer, you know, shop classes, home ec classes, things where in the curriculum you used to learn some of those things. As we've lost those, I think there's a lot of students that go out to the real world and say, I don't know how to change a tire or keep my finances in order.
A lot of gaps. There are a lot of gaps. Let's jump into the comments. So I posted this one on my Facebook page, and people really were interested in this, saying finances, all caps, paying bills, importance of saving money, how to pay taxes. We're going to learn the basics regardless, but being financially stable in our economy is so important, and learning that at a young age is imperative. I was asking people if they could have benefited from this and what they would have wanted to know. Kiana Stewart said about credit and its importance. That is a really good thing because, you know, college, you get that credit card for a t-shirt. Jennifer Connor says the basics of taxes, student loans, FAFSA, which is the financial aid, and networking. So I think those are all good skills that some of us got to college and we were like, wait, what am I doing? What's going on here?
I feel like growing up, we did to learn some of this in school. We learned how to write a check. We had to practice it. We learned about doing your tax forms. Now, granted, a lot of people don't use checks anymore, but, you know, maybe updated a little bit, but we were certainly learning them already when I was in school.
I think it's the importance of how it applies to your life. Like, we're not just teaching you this, but there's going to come a time in life where this thing called a credit score is really going to matter. So just kind of hammering in, don't forget these life lessons. All right, well, we want to know what you guys thought about all of our stories today. Really good topics. Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We post every weekday, and follow us on social media to get your comments a part of the show. Stick around. We're going to see you guys back here same time tomorrow.